Hello, everyone. My name's Thad Harrell. I work at Isothermal Community College. First up, I want to thank Monica Lee and everybody at the McNair Foundation for what they do for our students in Rutherford County Schools, our students here at Isothermal Community College. We are blessed in our county to have such an educational foundation. So thank you to them for everything that they do. I know all you mentors feel the same way. Also, I want to thank Monica and her staff for giving me a shout and said, hey, Thad, would you be the keynote speaker for this year's retreat? But it's going to be virtual, so you're going to have to record that. So that's what I'm doing today, and I hope I share a couple thoughts with you that will make you think about being there for your students. You know, there's nothing more important than we do than just to be present there for our students. And so that's a little bit of what I want to talk to you all about today. As you can see, this is not my office. We're inside, on stage of the Foundation Performing Arts Center, and we have had a number of great performances on this stage for the last 21 years. The National Symphony Orchestra, they've been right here. John Tesh, I know nobody bigger than John Tesh on this stage. Charlie Daniels Band, Travis Tritt, Clint Black. I've even performed. I had an opportunity to sing on this stage many times. Also, I've danced with my daughter on this stage, who's now 21, and she's getting married next month. But all these things that have happened in this stage, although entertaining and fun, enjoyable, maybe the most important thing that's happened on this stage is when we have graduation. Our curriculum and adult high school programs, our students sit right out there on the front row. Moms, dads, families, friends, uncles, and cousins by the dozens. They're all around, and they cheer as their graduate walks across this stage, exactly where I'm seated today. And that, ladies and gentlemen, mentors, McNair mentors, that's why we do what we do, to help students get from where they are to some higher place. Our work is important. Your work is important. And this is going to be a different kind of year. It already has been. But one thing that will not change is our students' need for us to be involved in their life. I know that's going to look a little different. You may not have, who knows when, how long it'll be before we have face-to-face opportunities to sit down with our students. So we're going to interact through the computer. But we've got to figure that out. It's really important for us to figure that out because our students are depending on us to use the technology that's available to get to them and help them stay on track. Before I get too far down the road, grab a piece of paper, something to write with, jot down a note or two. I think this conversation, of course it's just me, but this talk, maybe there'll be something that I can say that will resonate with you, that you can use with your students. First out of the gate, I want you to think about a time you were considering doing something challenging or new. It could have been running a 5K. It could have been, man, I want to lose some weight this year. It could have been, I want to parachute. I want to bungee jump. You know, it doesn't matter. Just something that you had in your life where you said, wow, I want to try this. Now, most of us have this little voice in our head that keeps telling us something like this. You can't do it. You're going to fail. I know you're going to fail. You failed in the past. You're going to fail this time. That little voice, you just need to stop. You're going to embarrass yourself. Sometimes, and maybe many times, we listen to this voice and we just give up. Other times, you know this to be true in your life. It's been true in my life. There was something that kept us in the game. And we said, I'm not going to quit. I don't know how this is going to go, but I'm going to hang in there and I'm going to persist. So the thing I want you to ask yourself is, well, why did you persist? Really spend some time after this retreat asking yourself that question. I think when you examine your motivations and the process we go through when we decide to hang in there, we find out oftentimes there were other people around us that were providing encouragement. I want you to think about this. This is your own experience. When you were facing that challenge, how many times did someone around you say, you can do it, before you started believing them? Now, I don't know about you, but I'll listen to people tell me, Thad, you can do it. You can do it. You can do it. And the little voice in my head's going, I don't think so. This is too big, and it's beyond me to be able to complete this. But it's important for me to have those people around me who are encouraging me and saying, no, 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 you can do it. And that's what we are to our students, the students we are mentoring. You might be thinking, hey, I was wanting to do this thing. They say you can do it. You immediately respond with reasons why you can't. This goes on until you make a decision. Today, I want to talk to you about the importance of your persistent friend in helping you decide to hang in there. There's a song, our quartet, y'all know I'm a singer, and one of the songs we sing, the title is You're Not Alone. And I know kind of the whole theme of the retreat this year is I'll be there for you. So anyway, this one song we sing, and we've done it 1,000 times. But when we get a chance to be up in front of a crowd and we get into the chorus, you're not alone, there'll always be somebody with maybe a tear in their eye or just very, very emotional listening to that. And obviously, I don't know what's going on in their lives, but I think the fact that they heard that lyric, you're not alone, meant something to them. And that's exactly what our students need to hear from us. One of the challenges I'll share with you is Gina and I were in the middle of building our home that we live in now back in 1999. And that just happened to be the year that Stonecutter Mills is where I was working. It closed. And on the day that it was announced that we were closing, I was in shock. And I drove over to the construction site. I had studs, no roof. And within a month or two, no job. So I pull up and I'm sitting there and I'm feeling really rotten. And Gina's dad, many of y'all know Chester Melton. I think he was a mentor for some time until his health kind of took him away from being a mentor. But Chester was our contractor. He was the builder. And he come up and he said, hey, how's it going? I said, not too good. We're going to shut down Stonecutter and I'll be out of a job. And he said, right there, you're going to be all right. It's going to be fine. And I can remember thinking in that moment, how do you know it's going to be fine? This seems pretty stinky to me. I don't know how it's going to be fine. Yet he was encouraging. He said, don't worry about it. It's going to work out. Within a couple months, I was employed here at Isothermal. And we're making some history. And it's been good. And it's been good for me. And he was right. One of the things, too, that I'd ask y'all to think about is not only being there for the people, your students that you work with, listening, but also another word that you might write down is consistency. And it's not a real flashy word. Many of you know that we've do some training programs here at the college, and one of them talks about this very idea that consistency is something that it gets overlooked when we're trying to do what we do within our organizations. But we need to be consistent with our students. It's not very flashy, but it says to them, you can depend on me. So when Monica and the other folks there at the schools are sending you and I information and saying, okay, it's time to text, to communicate in one way or another with your students, we need to be consistently there. Now, I know for a fact that I'm going to be busy when I get that note from Celine over at Chase. She said, Thad, it's time. I'm going to be busy. But I have to consistently show up for my students. And I think it's important because I want you to think about how many times your students, somebody's failed them, that they've not been there for them. We get an opportunity as mentors to make such a big difference because we're going to keep showing up in a consistent fashion and be there for our students. As mentors, one of these causes that's larger than ourselves. Let me tell you a little bit about that. I read in a book by a guy named Daniel Pink, and the name of the book is Drive. You need to look it up maybe sometime. But this is what Daniel says about becoming a person of influence around other people and being also motivated. He says the most deeply motivated people, not to mention those who are most productive and satisfied, hitch their desires to a cause larger than themselves. I think all of us can agree as mentors. There's plenty in it for us being mentors, the way it makes us feel, the opportunity we get to interact with other people. But there's so much larger of a purpose being served by you and I in these roles. And when we do that, we're motivated. When we realize that, we're motivated, we're also productive and helpful and encouraging to other students. We show up for our students. We have to prepare ourselves for the meetings. I know when Celine calls, I'm going to have lots going on, but I'm going to have to make myself get ready for maybe the most important interaction with that student that they've had in a week, in a month. Since the last time I talked to them, who knows? Since the last time you talked with them. So we need to get prepared. We need to listen. We need to seek to understand our students before we try to make them understand us. Does that make sense? You ever had anybody try to make you understand them when they didn't understand you? It's kind of frustrating, wouldn't you say? So we as mentors, we have to start at a place of, hey, student, tell me what's going on. When they say, I hate school. Now, we know they need it, right? We as mentors know they need school. But when they say, I hate school, maybe the question we can ask is, the comment we can make is, well, tell me about that. Because rarely is it just school. There's so much other things going on. So we need to seek to understand our students before we try to make them understand us. We got to help them discover their abilities and passion and their best future. Their best future may not look like yours. It may not look like mine. But we really got to listen and listen intently. I had a friend one time who talked about when you're facilitating people, you're working with a group of people, so you're not necessarily trying to be the expert on the stage, but you're trying to elicit some team building or just working with a team. What he said was when you're working with folks and you're conversating with them, you're waiting for the big fish to jump out of the water. And what he meant was kind of the main thing that's on that student's mind or on that teammate's mind. So you're waiting for that. And you're asking questions, giving that other person the opportunity to say, well, let me just tell you what's on my mind. And when they do that, you get to the heart of the matter. And so I think there's value. I know there's value in you and I going in prepared, but also taking a few minutes to understand where this student is coming from. Some of my students that I've worked with, I'm going to say, never got 1 hour of service hours in. Some of my students who didn't get 1 hour in of service time also didn't have a 3.0 GPA, nor did they take foreign language. Yet they ended up still being successful. That's where we want to get them, right? We want them to qualify for the Rope Award. Absolutely. We want them to fulfill their, I guess, futures. But those futures are going to look very, very different. So we have to be really paying attention to what they're saying. Sometimes a student doesn't know what's possible. Sometimes we just don't know our students well enough to be able to help them find a future that they're looking for. I hope that makes sense. Our job is so important, and we get the opportunity to support these kids. We get an opportunity to be there for them. Mike Saunders, a good friend that used to work here at the college, and Mike is, if he's listening to this, he's smiling real big. But we used to say, think of a time when somebody was there for you and what it meant to you. That's the power of us as mentors, showing up, being there for our students. We have to make a choice every day. Is this going to be a good day, or is this going to be a stinky day? Well, I don't know about you, but I want a good day. My problem is so many times I torpedo my own day. It's nobody else's fault. It's my fault. So I've got this little, I don't know, something somebody wrote one time, and it's real neat that kind of demonstrates the power of perspective. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this thing to you straight down, and it's going to sound stinky. It's going to sound, man, it's a terrible attitude. Why stay at reading this? But then after I read it top down, then I'm going to read it from the bottom up, just to give you some perspective on our perspective and our own attitude. So here goes. This is the negative perspective, by the way. Today was the absolute worst day ever. And don't try to convince me there's something good in every day, because when you take a closer look, the world is a pretty evil place. Even if some goodness does shine through once in a while, satisfaction and happiness just don't last. And it's not true that it's all in the mind and heart, because true happiness can be obtained only if one's surroundings are good. It's not true that good exists. I'm sure you can agree with that. The reality creates my attitude. It's all beyond my control. And you'll never in a million years hear me say that today was a good day. Now I'm going to flip it, because that was a stinky attitude. And I got to admit, some days I come in thinking just like that. I'm going to read from the bottom up. Same words, same sentences, starting at the bottom, reading up. Listen to this, to the difference. Today was a good day. And you'll never in a million years hear me say that. It's all beyond my control. My attitude creates the reality. I'm sure you can agree that it's not true that good exists only if one's surroundings are good. True happiness can be obtained because it's all in the mind and heart. And it's not true that satisfaction and happiness don't last. Some goodness does shine through once in a while, even if this world is a pretty evil place. Because when you take a closer look, there's something good in every day. And don't try to convince me that today was the absolute worst day ever. Our perspective matters. And I don't want you to feel like I'm preaching to you, because I'm telling you, I have to have this conversation, this very conversation every day. And it makes a difference. It makes a difference in how I feel. It makes a difference in how effective I am in dealing with other people. And those of you that know me very well know that I don't always get it right. Particularly my wife, who is a mentor and is watching this right now. She knows that I don't always get it right, but we've got to kind of put our game face on when it's time to go see our students. We got to think about our attitudes. We got to think about what situations they're coming from when they virtually plop down in front of us. We, as mentors, choose to be there for our students. When we do that, we're improving their life. We're giving them something that maybe some of them just don't have, and that's a listening ear. Thank you, all you mentors, for hanging in there with your students. This is going to be a unique year, for sure. We've seen that at isothermal. I know Dr. Sutton and all the folks at Rutherford County Schools have had to scratch their head several times as to how they were going to manage. But, you know, we're going to make it through this. We're not only going to make it through it okay, we're going to thrive. We're going to thrive through this. See that? That's our perspective that we got to take, is we're going to knock this thing out of the park, and our students are going to be better for it. And you and I are going to go to bed at night content in all the good stuff that we have been a part of with the McNair Foundation in Rutherford County Schools and Isothermal Community College. Again, we all owe a debt of gratitude to the Bob and Janice McNair Educational Foundation. Thank you, Ms. McNair, and we just appreciate this opportunity you've given us. On behalf of all the mentors, I extend a heartfelt thank you for giving us this opportunity to serve our students. Listen, thank you for your time today. Good luck, get ready, be consistent, choose the right attitude, and be there for your students. We look forward to seeing you, and keep in mind, many of your students are going to end up on this stage, walking this stage, and then they're going to stand back here while the president of Isothermal Community College says, by the power vested in me, I declare you now graduated. And there'll be lots of hooping and hollering here at Isothermal and at the high schools too. God bless. Have a great week and a great year working with your students. See you soon.